Welcome to my channel. I'm Danny Walker. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notifications button, as well as follow me on social media at Danny Walker. What did I just spend $20 on? What did I just watch? Anyone? Anyone else? And then people were still streaming on YouTube, I guess, so people were still watching this show for free. So I'm crying inside. I'm not even gonna talk about the stage. Y'all already know. I'm sure y'all got your own thoughts about the staging. The one thing I will say about the stage is that I feel like it extremely affected the contestants' performance because it wasn't this grand, beautiful opening. It certainly wasn't very motivating, I would say, if I was a contestant. If I was a girl who traveled halfway across the world to come and compete at Miss Universe after I had attended and competed and won my beautifully produced national pageant, then honestly this would make me really, really sad. Just as a former Miss USA contestant, it makes me really sad because I think that our Miss USA prelim stage was better than the Miss Universe prelim stage, and that's something I never really thought I would say. Oh gosh. I'm going to quickly talk about introductions and a couple of contestants that stood out to me. There were a few that were, for me, borderline. I didn't know if I would put them into my pre-arrival favorites episode, and I'm going to talk about them first. Iceland was so adorable. She just seems so sweet on stage. Great Britain, she was also one of those borderline contestants for me, but I thought she's been looking really beautiful. Kenya, also super cute. Makes sense, she's only 18. Quick note, if you were going to have the girls compete for finals and divide them by their continents, why don't we have them compete by their continents in prelims? I feel like it would make choices a lot clearer for judges to see, okay, who's actually going to be competing with one another on finals night. Some of the girls seemed a little bit confused in introductions. That was a real bummer. The timing was off, and I'm sure that the production was not happy about that. So hopefully nothing like that is going to be happening during the finals. The other contestant that stood out to me is Slovak Republic. I thought she did well overall tonight in prelims. I can see Slovak Republic in a semifinal now. One thing that I didn't think went over very well was when Nick made a joke about the show selling out and the audience was dead silent. Nobody thinks that's funny. I really hope that they don't try to make a joke of it during finals. I don't think that's gonna go over very well. I'm just like so sad about this show right now. I feel a little duped paying $20 to watch this one. Girls that stood out, Albania. So I think that she could make a semifinal cut for Europe. I have heard a lot of people talking about her. I haven't really seen that much of her online, but I think that she did very well tonight. Argentina did not disappoint for me. She does remind me very much of like a Miss Venezuela several years ago, and I don't know if that's really going to hurt her because it seems like, you know, they really want somebody that's relatable and a little bit more natural, and this girl's hair doesn't even move. It's literally like perfect. I was really bummed out to see Brazil's hair curled. I don't understand why it was. I liked it when it was styled so chic and just straight or just with a slight curl. I just was not thrilled about the styling of Brazil's hair, and that really bummed me out. Colombia was beautiful, beautiful on stage. Her body is incredible. Dominican Republic, I talked about her in my early favorites video. I don't know why she was waving at people on stage. That's something that if I was working with her, I would be like, stop waving at people, you're competing right now. I did not like the heels for this year's competition, and it was interesting to see completely different swimsuits than those that were shown at the fittings and registration. Everybody was talking about these one-piece swimsuits. Well, I remember my year at Miss USA, some of the girls had taken photos in fittings and registration, and they caught a glimpse of our opening number dresses, and then everybody was talking about how they knew what we were gonna wear. So we went into prelims with our same opening number dresses, but then they changed it all up for finals. I would guess some of that decision was because people saw it, so I'm guessing the same thing happened this year when we saw the one-piece swimsuits, and then now we saw all the contestants come out in two-piece swimsuits. So they could have done that on purpose to throw everyone off. And I also did not like the cover-ups, and the cover-ups were a mess. It's literally Cape-Ageddon 2019. I've never seen anything like that. Those capes were taking out girls left and right. They were just wiping out or tripping or slipping on stage, and it was terrible. I felt like it was so unfair to the contestants, and I can't imagine how they went through prelims rehearsals and saw the girls on stage struggling with those cover-ups and decided to keep those in the show. Like, what in the world was going on? I was dying inside watching it. Speaking of the cover-ups, they took out one of the top competitors, Miss France. Considering that so many girls slipped and tripped, I'm hoping that that does not knock France out of a semifinal. And honestly, if I was judging seeing that many girls fall, I would not count it against her. The only thing that I wish she would have done differently is finish the pose after she fell. Great Britain for Europe is looking great on stage. I thought she did a really great job. I wonder what the judges are thinking about her hairstyle. It is a little bit vintage looking, so she's just rocking her own thing. Haiti was one of my favorites in semifinals, and I thought that she still looked beautiful on stage and did a great job, but I would like to see during finals, if she makes a semifinal, to take out the head nod for swim and actually for gown as well. Iceland was so happy and so sweet, but the only thing about that is I was getting major teen vibes from her. So I'm hoping that for finals, if she makes that cut, that she spices things up just a little bit, but still keeps like a little bit of that sweet aura too, you know, like mixing them in together. India had a great turn on stage left for swim, really appreciated it, thought she was stunning, and she reminded me of when the girls were competing at Miss Universe 2013. She reminded me of just like the hairstyles that they had at that pageant, but I liked it. It was so voluminous and pageanty. Indonesia, one of my top picks, slipped as well for swim, so that just made me sad, but her face, stunning on stage. Y'all, Ireland's body was phenomenal. I just wish that they would not have done such dark eyeshadow on her. She's so beautiful. If you guys check out my episode, my post-arrival favorites episode, which I'll link right up here, take a look at her there and some of the photos that I posted. She's so beautiful and so photogenic. I just don't think that she needs that much makeup, but that's a change that you can definitely make for finals. Kenya was also stunning on stage. She was another one of the contestants for me that was on the edge for my pre-arrival picks, probably just because I didn't see as much of her. She has been so beautiful in photo shoots at different events, and she was so stunning on stage. I really, really loved her confidence in swim. Panama, also a favorite that I mentioned. I think she is just captivating. Like, she has such a great energy about her, and she's so facially beautiful on stage. I really liked her. Peru is someone also that has been on the edge for me, and I thought that she did a great job for swim, and she looked really beautiful, so it wouldn't surprise me if she has a killer interview that she makes a semifinal. Philippines for swimsuit, I was really surprised at how long she took on stage and how the camera cut her off at the end and did not get that close up. I feel like that might be because things were running behind during the show, maybe because, I don't know, they were sweeping the stage when Miss Mexico was on stage and competing for swim. I was like, what in the world? When stuff happens like that and it's on the fault of, I would say, the production or just out of the control of contestants, I believe it's important to let contestants recompete. Even if they are not recompeting during a telecast, give them one more walk on stage, you know, after prelims, so the judges can see them at their best, not when a production member is walking across stage while she's on stage. That to me is so unfair. Puerto Rico, great job. Madison killed it on stage. You can see how badly she wants to win. You can see her fighting for the crown, like that look in her eyes. I loved it. She was also very smart to move that cover up out of the way to make sure that she did not trip. Loved her. South Africa looked like she was having so much fun. She is so beautiful on stage as well, and she just looks really relaxed, which I can appreciate. Tanzania, another really beautiful girl on stage. What my hope is, though, is they will allow two girls that look similar into a semi-final. There's always been talks in pageantry that when two girls look very similar on stage, so like let's say South Africa and Tanzania, that only one is going to make a semi-final just because they have a similar hairstyle and build. So I just don't think that that's fair. I think that if the contestants earn their spot, that they should be up there, and I'm really hoping that good will prevail, and if they both had great interviews, then they would both be in a semi-final. Thailand was smart. At the very end of her swim performance, she lifted up that cover up so she didn't trip over it. Obviously with Thailand, it's her face. Like, her face is so beautiful on stage. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but in my opinion, she's just really, really beautiful and doesn't have to do that much on stage because she's gorgeous. So glad to see Chesley having fun. You could hear the crowd roar for her. I think it doesn't hurt that the pageant is being held in Atlanta, and I was so glad to see her having a good time in swim. Like, that is what I wanted to see. Her body, she was the most fit contestant there. She was phenomenal and did not disappoint at all. Very proud. Also, Venezuela had a really great performance. I hadn't talked about her in a preliminary competition. I would say mostly just because the organization lost Osmel Sousa, and it's just been not the same without him, and I just didn't know how her preparation was going to be going, but she did do a great job for swimsuit. Vietnam, I thought that the swimsuit walk was a little bit slow, but I didn't really care because she's so stunning, and I love the way that she still carries herself and just walks with presence, and I'm like, okay, cool, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, do it, just get out there and kill it. Do me a favor and comment your favorite country down below. Tell me how my favorites from prelims are matching up with yours, if at all. Albania, thank you so much for wearing that gown. I thought it was so fun. Apparently neons were like the thing this year. It was either neon, a gown that was black and red, or of course a metallic beaded neutral gown, which we see at every single Miss Universe. I loved Albania's gown and her styling and how she carried it. I thought that was so fun. I would not mind seeing it in a final. Argentina, one of my faves. All I want her to do, if she wears that gown for finals, please pull it off the shoulders. For me, it was too much up at the neck. Barbados's gown, also gorgeous, another bright color. It fit her so well, and she was just vibrant in it. Brazil, I was shocked to see the plain gown. I'm actually really bummed out because her wardrobe has been really great throughout Miss Universe at all of the events, and I was expecting to see something just like, wow. But when I saw it, I just didn't feel like it was a special creation made just for her. It just seemed like something we just pulled off the rack, but there is still time for finals to change that. Chile, I was feeling for gown, even though it was a rainbow color, it was a really soft, subtle ombre rainbow color. It was different, it was unique, it was something we don't usually see, but the way that she was wearing it and how it fit her, I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. Colombia, one of my favorites leading up to prelims. I thought that she was stunning and beautiful for gown, but I was really disappointed with the gown. Not that it's not beautiful, but just because we've seen so many like that, and it just really reminded me of Miss Colombia 2015, like that whole shape of the gown, except by adding some straps. So I just wanted to see something more different on her and more unique, but there's time at finals. Denmark's gown, so I can actually see Denmark also making a semifinal for Europe. I thought that she did pretty well in swim, but just seeing her in that unique gown, even though y'all know I've talked about me hating fringe for a while, or that I saw too much of it, but the way that it was done and how it was styled, I thought was really great. France had a stunning gown. I'm wondering if they're going to change it for finals. Either way, so beautiful, and I think that kind of redeemed her, and I think that the judges, because of the stage, should not count the slip against her. If you're enjoying this episode, please do me a favor, screenshot it, post it to an Instagram story, and tag me at Danny Walker with your thoughts. If you're not enjoying this episode, then you can just exit out of this. You don't have to leave mean comments about me or the girls. So please, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I would really appreciate it. So India has been a really, really strong competitor, somebody that I love, that I talked about being in semifinals, and I was not loving the styling of the red gown with the hair, so I'm really hoping that for finals they're gonna change literally everything about that. I would like to see something fresher, something more modern on her, and those are my hopes for India. Indonesia, how gorgeous was she in that black and white beaded gown? It was stunning, and that look that she gave at the end of the runway, oh, once again, that's a contestant that I hope they overlook that slip for. Panama during gown, beautiful, beautiful face, beautiful contestant. I thought that the gown, though, it wasn't original. Once again, just like a beaded normal style, so I'm really hoping that these contestants that have just these metallic or beaded styles will change it up for finals if they do make it into a semifinal. Philippines, she wore a very similar gown to the one that she wore when she won her national competition, but I loved it more in gold. I loved that they just had a simple gold earring on her. She does not need much. She is such a stunning contestant. I thought she was stronger in gown than she was in swim, but overall loved Philippines, and it's surprising to me that a more simple gown, I would say, this year was one that to me stood out more against all the other contestants because it was so unique, and just like that little pointed wing just brought everything up to her face, like all the attention, and I loved. That was probably, honestly, that's like one of my favorite gowns this year. Just absolutely loved that gown on her. Puerto Rico also wore gold, stunning, and once again in gown, she was just fighting for that title. You could see it in her face, in her performance, and I absolutely loved that about her. Like, now my heart is invested in Puerto Rico because you can see just that fire in her eyes. So I'd be pulling for a top 5 or 3 or however they break it up this year. South Africa was so chic when she came out with the cape over the dress and then opened it, and then it had this really great print inside. I was like, yes, absolutely love. Heck, she could keep that dress for finals and I would still love it because of the way that she carried it and just like how she lit up at the end on stage. Like, yes. Thailand, oh boy. So I'm very torn because I did not like the pink with the black beading and details on Thailand. It was that same silhouette that she won her national competition in, and granted, pink's a great color on her on stage, but I was like, why with that gown? Please change it. Please change it for finals. But once again, that look that she gave at the end of the runway, I'd still be scoring her up. I would overlook the gown for now, but I wouldn't be overlooking it for finals. USA, Chesley. Okay, so she wore a rhinestoned gold gown. I thought it was very pageanty. It wasn't anything especially like different or unique, but in comparison to a lot of the other gowns on stage this year that I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, that's too much, that's too little, that, you know, there was just like a lot happening with the gowns this year. So in comparison to that, her gown looked really great on stage. And I don't think that she necessarily would stand out or pop in a final lineup if she sticks with that gown for finals, but she is Miss USA, and I would assume that Sherry Hill has a second gown for her for finals, and I hope that that gown wows. But I do think for semifinals, that's a good enough gown to make that semifinal cut, as well as her performance was great. So she came out real strong this year. Vietnam. Y'all, Vietnam. Just put her right up in the top. Just put her right up in the top. So beautiful and elegant on stage. I wasn't crazy about the gown, but it was more of the way that she carried it that I would be just like, pass, just get her right on up in those finals. It was fabulous, and just that she wore her hair back and the face, just everything. Thank you so much for watching this recap and for joining me for this episode. I really appreciate it. I have to get this edited and get to bed because I am catching a flight at 6:45 a.m. to head over to Atlanta for finals. If you're not subscribed yet, please be sure to do so, as well as follow me on social media at Danny Walker. Like this episode, share it with your friends. Like I said, screenshot it, post it to an Instagram story, and tag me at Danny Walker. I would love to hear from you.